thinking about why measurement is so hard, first and foremost, to level set on, when we think about attributing ROI back to earned and owned media, what makes it so hard? And really, it's first to understand that the addiction to internet and being connected always on is really to blame on why measurement is so difficult. The reality is that digital audiences are becoming more and more fragmented than ever. And it's really due to the fact that with wearables and IoT and all the different devices that we have, by 2017, it's projected that we'll have more than 4 devices per person on average. And the reality is, being able to map all these different devices back to a single user is really the first step into figuring out measurement. And because of this, of all these different devices, we can no longer rely on the cookie. And this issue with being blind to all the different ways of tracking beyond the cookie is becoming more and more of a problem, and we can no longer rely on that. As of today, it's only about 40% of the traffic is not covered with measurement if we only rely on cookies, and that's only going to get worse as we move forward with more and more connected devices per user. And so the first step is to really, as I said earlier, is understanding how to map all these devices back to a single user. And the reality is, with different ad platforms and tracking platforms, we at least have started to identify and standardize all the different environments that mobile web and in-app and desktop and connected devices can identify unique users for. But the reality is, each device does not represent a unique person. So thinking about how we can map all these different types of identifiers back to a single user is really the first step to understanding how we can more effectively measure and optimize campaigns. So if we think about the landscape that we're in now in terms of tracking and identification, where we are today in terms of being able to really have full end-to-end tracking and measurement, first of all, paid media is nearly there. With the advent of better integration between ad serving and tracking attribution, we're finally at a point where we can see full end-to-end tracking for paid media. A perfect example is the latest announcements on Atlas 2.0, being able to move away from the cookie and really sync cookies back to a single user based on persistent IDs, mainly using the Facebook ID, is really helping further our industry along in terms of really being able to track by users rather than by devices. And with the standardization of tracking attribution platforms and integrating that with the ad serving solutions, we can finally get to a point where it's not just about clicks and impressions, but also attributing ROI and conversions and engagement back to our campaigns from a paid media standpoint. But when it comes to measuring owned and earned media, it's still very early days. The reality is we're still approaching measurement for owned and earned media as in silos. Here's a typical analytics suite of a client. They probably have a web analytics solution. They have an in-app analytics solution, social monitoring, CRM. All these different systems may or may not be fully integrated, and on top of that, the teams that manage these systems may be in silos. So the reality is, the way we're approaching owned and earned media from an analytics standpoint is still pretty much in silos. And we can't really do it this way, because with mobile, consumers are they don't behave in silos. You think about just the example of someone downloading app versus mobile web. It depends on the situation that they're in whether they use your brand's app or they might go to the mobile web, or depending on they're on what device they're on, it could dictate what sort of landing environment or type of platform they use for that particular situation. So the same way we can't think about the customer journey in a linear fashion, the same thing happens and it can be applied to how we think about measurement.